Welcome back. Bathroom's coming along now. We've got everything plastered, all nice and echoey. Let's finish laying this vinyl plank flooring. You saw me previously put some under the bath, straight onto the chipboard, but let's show you what we're going to do this time. Right, so previously, when we put the vinyl plank tiles underneath the bath, we put them straight on top of the chipboard. Now, the chipboard didn't seem rough at all, it was all lovely and smooth, but I don't think some of the tiles stuck as well as what I thought they might. And on the actual packaging it says to put a suitable primer on the chipboard. Now, it doesn't say what kind of primer, but underneath, a couple of the boards that were sort of coming up underneath the bath, I tried putting a PVA water mix down there like you would if you was plastering a wall. Now, it seems to stick a little bit better, but it still wasn't brilliant. I mean, where the leg of the bath isn't quite touching the floor, and as the bath moves down slightly, the leg was sort of, as the weight was going on the leg was bending out slightly, so the vinyl plank was being pulled over. Now, you probably wouldn't get that trouble if the whole floor was tiled, but it was just a little bit concerning. So now what we've done, we've just basically taken some acrylic primer, Leyland, undercoat and primer together. We've just sanded the floor down. Where we plastered all the walls, you know, we got muck on there was all dust on there. So we've gone round, just given the floorboards a light sanding, and then we've put our primer over top. And now let's lay the tiles. Let's hope they stick better. Quick fine brush down. Trouble with having, even though I only painted this last night, when you got cats and dogs, you get little black hairs everywhere. Also, once it's been painted, you can see any little lumps you've missed. Well, that was probably a little tiny bit of plaster on there. We don't want any lumps on here at all. This last little square I've had to fill in here on the floorboards. I need to just glue down the sides just to stop any sort of squeaking. There's a tiny bit of squeaking there at the moment between these boards, which is basically this plywood board rubbing on this chipboard board. Chipboard board. So that's it. That's all the tiny little bumps removed. Still see a few hairs. It's nuts. If you want to see when I first laid these tiles, go back. I'll put a little information card up here so you can see when I laid them under the bath, but all of our arrows were pointing that way, so they're going to continue the same. That was loud. So we need to start. I want to cut this in half. Right, you need to remember what edge you've cut, because you want your cut edge up against the wall, and you want to make sure your factory edge is going to be the joins in the middle. Just got a little roller. A nice tight fit. Oh, it's so annoying. The hairs are back again. Right, just make sure you get it right in the corner, nicely butted up. Don't want any gaps in these. I'm just going to give that a quick roller. We'll stand on it. Stand on it. Just push it in to the corners gently. Give it a little nudge over with something straight. You can make sure your edges are perfectly aligned. Right, let's move it back and let's keep going. I'm quite lucky with this floor because it's literally 2 boards width. So instead of measuring this one again, I could just put a mark just where I need to cut it. And don't lose it. That's it. Just score it 2 or 3 times, snaps. And then cut the paper off the back. Remember, arrows all go the same way. That's your cut edge to the edge. If you run your nail along your joint, your nail should not get caught at all. Go in either direction. Even just a little hairline, you're going to have a noticeable gap in these. Just make sure you get them all lined up, all your edges closed. Also, I've got all my screw heads pretty much flush to the top of the chipboard. But what you can do, if you've got any screw heads that are in too low, just get yourself a bit of wood filler and just fill the tops of the screws in. That way you avoid getting any dips over time in your laminate, which hopefully, if this is nice and thick, it shouldn't do anyway. Right, so what we just need to do now, got a few little gaps, or just a gap on that last board, and it is got a tiny bit of squeak now and again. So we're going to get some PVA mix, and we're just going to pour it into that gap. That gap there is along the joist anyway, so it will just sit in there, stop that squeaking, and we put a lip on. You've got a tongue on this last chipboard there. And although that's a bit of plywood, I did cut a lip on there, so it's sitting on top of the lip of the chipboard. So we'll tip some PVA down there as well, and hopefully that will help it stick and stop that squeaking. But now we've got the fun job. I'd already taken part of the toilet out, but it's the only toilet I have in the house, so to save me pulling it out twice, like pulling it out, painting the floor, putting it back so I could use it, then pulling it out again to put the floor tiles down. We've painted around it. We've had to put a new waste on there. This was a cast iron pipe, and it had basically had like a lead shroud around it, and the lead was just sort of hammered around there and masticed in, stop it from leaking. Although it did have a few slight leaks, so we managed to get like a normal waste connector now that we've got pushed into the old cast iron pipe. Eventually we'll change the cast iron pipe from outside and bring it into plastic, so it will be a better fit. That's a really tight fit. There was a struggle getting in there. So we're just going to empty the toilet out now. We've got a little pump that we can suck the water out. We're just going to put it in a bucket, pull this out, get this part painted under here, and then finally we can put it back and connect it up, bring the water pipes back up through the floor, get it all connected so I can stop chucking buckets of water down it to flush it. Right, so I've got one of these plungers that actually sucks the water up and pushes it down again, but we can unscrew the end of that, so we can actually just put it in there, suck the water up, put it in a bucket. Just going to chuck a few more buckets of cold water down there, just to make sure the water we're taking out is clean. Now it should be clean. Let's suck this water out. Of course, if you haven't got a pump like this, you can just use a sponge. Although I suggest getting some gloves. Right, now we just need to pull this toilet out. You are probably still going to spill some water, so get some old towels, cloths, blankets. Just going to put some gloves on, give me a better grip of this, and grab this. This is quite clean. I've already had it out a few times. So we're just going to wiggle this out of the fitting now. Like I said, you're going to get some water out, but if you put it forward and then just tip it up backwards. So just get that last piece of water out, so now we can move it around without worrying about getting everything wet. So as I did before, because we've plastered our walls, it's still drying behind here. So we're just going to get our scraper, make sure there's no lumps. Just got 120 grit on here. We're not taking much off, we're just making sure it's clean. That's it, we can just wipe it over with our damp cloth, get rid of the dust. Obviously, if you haven't just plastered your walls and you're just putting new floorboard down, you won't have to do this. You can just paint it with your primer. I've got a slight little gap in this one as well. I mean, this is going to be hidden by the toilet, but just got some PVA mix in just like a little bottle. Just so I can pour some down in that gap. These have all got glue in them, they was all glued as well. So these ones don't squeak at the moment. Just take a brush. I mean, you can just pour it on and just use a brush to get it in the gaps. So that's pretty much filled, and we'll do the same with the other board I showed you in the corner. We'll quickly get this painted so it's got a chance to dry while I'm doing another couple of bits. So I've just got this left over from the primer left over from last night when I did the rest of the floor. And there's only a tiny amount in here and I didn't really want to wash it out and fill it up again. tiny bit we get left on the roller. Just going to finish this little section off. And that's that. We'll let that dry. It's touch dry in half an hour. Fully drying, well, dry enough in 2 hours. We can then put our vinyl over there and probably get our toilet back on. But I'll see if I can get some skirting board to get down there first. Clean out the paint tray, fill those other gaps up with PVA, and we'll be ready to get the rest of the vinyl down. You can see there the little bit of flex this wood has in it. And just by tipping that PVA in there, it's already stopped any creaking. We'll get some wood filler. I mean, that's already glued down the sides. We'll get some wood filler in there just to make them hide the gaps, get them level. Alright, so we just put a bit of filler in our gaps there on top of our PVA we put in there. I can stand on that now. No squeaks or anything whatsoever. So let's get the rest of this floor done. I'm going to have to cut a little sliver for here. That's slightly too wide for the skirting board to cover it. I mean, ideally I would have started here and have the cut under the bath, but as you know, the way the bath is, that had to be done first. So this is what we're left with. Deal with it. Although where it goes under the door, I mean, the toilet's going to be there, that's not going to be that noticeable, and you've got a bit more where it goes under the door, so it'll look alright. I'm going to need the bigger straight edge, so I'm going to go and cut this one downstairs. Before we do that, we'll also mark up our last one by the door. Mark that so it just goes under the actual frame of the door by probably 5mm. So there. Just draw a rough. So I'm just drawing a rough line, and the bit I've got to cut out for that, that's wrong. Yeah, that's the bit I want to keep. Come on in, Pip, in the way, out the way, in the way, out the way. Right, then this one, obviously we're going to slide it under the door frame as well. And we'll just stop this just short of there. This will have like a step or door plate, step plate over there anyway, so the edge is going to get hidden. So that's it, now we can join that line up with that line. We can take a measurement. Take a measurement from there to there. So that is 84mm, so you could measure 84 from there to there. Yes, that's sound about 85 on that one. Yeah, that's 85, that's 84. Come on, Pippi. So we can square it up to that line. And then this will be the part we cut off, and we'll join our mark there for our mark there. Right, let's go and cut these two down, and hopefully I've done it right. Because I have one board left. One board remaining, so I need to get these right. Alright, spot the mistake when I was measuring this one up. Hopefully I spotted it downstairs. That's another good reason to measure there. I knew that was 85, but I'd marked the wrong bit on here. I'd measured something and marked it there. So I knew that was wrong. But luckily I noticed it before I cut it, so now that should fit. Just going to dry fit that in there. I can use a penknife just to trim that corner off, just get caught in that bit of wood. Fits on this longest floorboard, lovely. Let's just try and squeeze this last bit in here. Underneath the frame, so we've got no gaps at all. Just give that a little nudge over on her foot. Make sure that gap's nicely closed up. See, I can wedge that in there. Perfect fit. And in goes the last piece. Get the edges down. And that's it. No need to shout. That's it. We'll get our little roller on that piece. Just to make sure it's stuck. Although our skirting board is going to keep that piece in place anyway. Right, so I've got a bit of skirting board left. I've got a bit of skirting board left that I can cut, put behind here, because this is the last time I want to take this toilet out. So I'm just going to put a piece of skirting board under here quickly, and I know if I'm level and stuff. And then I'll have a clean up and show you this floor without all the mess in the middle. Don't go anywhere. So there we go, that is it. That is the floor down now. Good time in Pippa, she loves it. Now we've not got a bad join there in with the old floorboards. Go on, there you go. I'd say that putting the primer down on the chipboard has worked better. I've got no lift or anything on the tiles. They've all stuck down nicely right to the corner. So I just need to buy some more skirting board to finish off over that side. So I've put some skirting board down here. I need to, there's a couple of bits of, so I'll put some silicone sealant on that rather than caulking, obviously because you're in a wet area. So I've just put a silicone on that for now. I just need to, basically have a good old clean up. Right, thanks for watching this video. A little update on, last time when we put the vinyl plank tiles down under the bath. When we did those ones, we didn't prime the chipboard at all. But I thought because the chipboard was it was a nice smooth surface, it didn't feel rough at all. I thought the vinyl plank tiles would stick to them. I mean, it has mainly, but there are little bits that are lifting up. But I think, with the weight of the bath on it and the walking around, that eventually stick down. It definitely stuck down better when I primed the chipboard under here, just with a primer undercoat paint. Out of interest, if you're interested, these are just a self-adhesive vinyl planks by Colours, which I think is, I don't know whether that's B&Q's sort of own brand. But yeah, they were just from B&Q. You get 7 planks in here. Does about 1.2 square metres, is it? No, it's just under 1 square metre. And this room is just over 4 square metres. So we bought 5 packs for obviously 5 square metres. Luckily, we had a couple of mistakes with 2 of them that we took out from the legs under the bath, so it wasn't quite sticking and they were sliding out. So we had a couple of them wasted, and we basically have one good tile left over. So, always buy yourself, an extra pack, or obviously if your room's bigger and you've got a lot of cutting and edges and corners to do, probably buy yourself an extra 2 packs. I say you should buy, 10% more. That's it. I mean, these I think they were just over £10 each. I think they were about £52 for 5 packs of these. Yeah, so I know a lot of people say don't use chipboard, especially like in the bathroom, because if it does get wet, it's going to turn to Weetabix and it's just going to fall apart. Wet Weetabix, that is. But we've used moisture resistant chipboard. It has got a primer over it to protect it a bit more. When we've laid the vinyl plank tiles, they are overlapping the edge of the chipboard slightly. So if there is any moisture or anything gets underneath, hopefully it'll just roll off the vinyl, miss the chipboard completely. But with the silicone sealant we've used around the skirting board, hopefully there's no moisture or water going to get under there anyway. But yeah, so I suppose that's a good tip, is to have your vinyl planks just hanging over your flooring, over your chipboard, or plywood would have been better, but it's a bit more expensive. We went with the 18mm chipboard because we're lucky enough to have 400mm centres. I think if you've got 600mm centres, 18mm chipboard is not really strong enough, thick enough to use. You'd have to go to the 22. Plywood is slightly more expensive than just putting this chipboard down. But if you've got a bigger room, it could end up being another 50 odd quid to do your floor. So we're trying to do this. We're trying to do it on a budget, but do it properly. Try and protect the chipboard as much as we can. Make sure there's no moisture can get to it. Make sure it's hanging over the vinyl's hanging over the edge of the chipboard. All your joints are nice and tight. You can go out and buy all this fancy, expensive systems they got now, and damp proofing and stuff. But we're trying to do this on a budget, quite cheaply, but we want to do it properly. So I don't think we've skimped anywhere on anything. We've got the proper moisture resistant stuff. It's not waterproof, but it's moisture resistant. We've done everything we can to protect the chipboard under here. It's absolutely solid. Hopefully it's all going to stay in place. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little update. Next, all the walls are plastered now. We've got 2 tiny little patches by the toilet that aren't perfectly dried out yet. But join us in the next video when we're going to be putting our mist coat all over these walls, and then we'll take you around. It'll be an update on the DIY plastering video, and we'll show you all the errors basically. Any little dinks and dents and bits with mist and any rough patches. I mean, it all feels nice and smooth. There are a couple of patches I can see, but plastering is a skill. So come back for the next video. We'll do an update. We'll get this mist coated and show you around and see how bad or how good the plastering was. So don't forget, do it yourself, do it properly, save yourself a ton of money, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.